So let's play a fun game. You may have heard of Guess Who, but here is Guess Who spent more. Guess who spent more money in this summer's transfer market? Chelsea or the entirety of La Liga? Sorry, La Liga. Did you say La Liga because no way a single club could spend more than a whole league? Or did you say Chelsea because their spending has been ludicrous since Bowley's takeover? Well, La Liga have spent more this window, but just. What about this one? Guess who spent more on transfers this window? FC Barcelona? Or Barça Athletic? Or Barça B as you may know them? Well, Barca's levers, debts, and some free transfers mean that the team has only spent 3.4 milli, whereas Barça B has spent 4.45 milli, which is more. Obviously, wage demands are vastly different, and Barca will spend more on these free players almost immediately. But the point still stands firm. La Liga has taken a tumble, and Tebas' chokehold on La Liga spending is setting the league back, and they have tumbled from a European giant with a pull of the best players in the world to a league with restraints, debts, and fallen clubs. Obviously, the spending of the Premier League and the incoming behemoth that is the Saudi League cannot continue, or so we think, without the expectation that the spending has to halt at some point. But is there a correlation between spending and performance? Looking at the most expensive transfers of all time, there is obviously an influx of new transfers that are still yet to have time to prove themselves. However, there are others that we definitely have our say on their impact. Taking into consideration that these 100+ million transfers are supposed to be players that change the fate of a club or allow a team to continually be a force in their divisions and the continent. The opinions on these players are shared throughout the football community. The money spent on players is often a heavy burden on a player's shoulders and is always brought up when they are on the pitch. Looking back at Barca's spending this summer, or lack thereof, and comparing it to the spending of other teams, you'd agree that Barca have had a good window, all things considered. Despite spending 1% of the money a team like Chelsea have coughed up. Despite the uproar and hatred towards the announcement of the proposed European Super League last year, or the year before that, not sure, the true European Super League has been hiding behind the criticism of all these other leagues. 7 Premier League teams have spent over 100 million this window at the time of recording, and is beginning to trickle down the English footballing pyramid, as the Championship spending is beginning to mimic some of Europeans' top divisions. With big-name Premier League teams like Southampton, Leeds and Leicester being relegated and receiving a parachute payment as they fall to the second division of English football, they are doubling down in an attempt to bounce straight back up. However, the Championship is the most competitive league in the world, with any club being capable of being promoted to the Premier League by the end of the year. Well, nearly every team. With the spending of a club like Chelsea, you have to wonder where the financial fair play laws come into place. Chelsea's spending has somewhat been justified by their magical financial heads. However, the punishments other clubs have endured have severely hamstringed them, most notably Malaga, who have gone from minutes away from a Champions League semi-final to debt and relegation in the last 10 years. Likewise, QPR, my team, are still paying fines from their FFP punishments and are likely to receive a point deduction this year if they cannot show profits of around 6 million from player sales, similar to what Reading faced last year, which condemned them to relegation to League One. While this happens to smaller teams, bigger teams get reduced fines, reduced squads for European competition, and a loose transfer ban, which gets lifted in an attempt to keep the European giants consistent within the European competition. The new Champions League format is also an attempt to please all these European big boys, providing more money, more games, and more position to please the pockets of the owners and presidents throughout football, at the expense of the health of the players. Which makes you think that those players leaving to play football in the Saudi League may be disregarding their name in footballing history, but cementing their longevity and the security of their family for generations. Now don't subscribe to this video, like it instead so more people can see it. Then buy me a coffee in the description.